Good morning and welcome back to Flashback Friday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today I was inspired to do something a little bit different. I have done some flip throughs before of some of the Battletech technical readouts, but a combination of events made me decide that I wanted to take a look at this particular book in particular. And that is the classic Battletech technical readout Project Phoenix. Now, before we get started, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Try to put out a few videos each week, do some live streams painting, and honestly, we talk about board games, role-playing, miniatures, and anything in between. Pretty much whatever I get interested in, I'll talk about it. So come along, see what we have to share. In addition, there are going to be links down below, DriveThruRPG, Amazon. If you choose to support the channel that way, that's absolutely appreciated. But regardless, we're just glad you're here to share this with us. All right. This is a semi-complicated subject. If you're relatively new to Battletech, you may not have heard of this, but for us long-timers, it's kind of a big deal. In the late 90s, early 2000s, I forget exactly when, essentially, FASA was confronted by Harmony Gold. Now, Harmony Gold has the license for the Macross properties and for basically anywhere outside of Japan. Now, FASA had gotten a license for many of the same mech designs, but they did it a different way. And this I'm not 100% clear on, but basically the people they got the rights from technically didn't have permission to license them. And as such, while it had been ignored for years, eventually it came to a head and FASA had to stop using those designs. Basically, it's the designs from Macross, Crusher Joe, Fang of the Sun Dugram, and one or two others, I think, that I don't remember off the top of my head. Needless to say, it was a bunch of iconic mechs. It was the Marauder, the Warhammer, the Phoenix Hawk, the Locust, the Battlemaster, the Shadowhawk. Just absolute core and staple designs for Battletech that, while they could still use the stats, all images had to be removed from the game. Well, what do you do? These are the iconic mechs at the time. How do you go from these recognizable, popular designs and just have to give them up? And they did so. They reprinted books. The upgrade versions of many technical readouts essentially weren't really upgrades. They were downgrades because they had to remove designs and art from the books. In PDFs that you'll see of some of those older books, there will be giant blank spaces where instead of an archive of the original book, it's had to be edited to remove those particular images. So it's a complicated piece of Battletech history. But there have been attempts to fix it. Now, obviously, those designs are being produced today. When Catalyst decided to do the Ill Clan reworks, they went back and have redone pretty much all of the mechs, not just the Unseen. But before the Ill Clan era, there was an attempt to redo the art for these mechs, and that was known as Project Phoenix. basically they would get away from the original designs and try to come up with a way to have art for these iconic mechs, but in a new style. So, what we're going to do is we're going to flip through and we're going to take a look at this new art. Basically, this was inspired because I've been doing reviews of the mechs that came out as part of Mercenaries, and because this is going to be kind of a preview, you'll see that I have some comments about the Project Phoenix art, but we'll get into that here in a moment. So, with that said, I do want to make one point up front. The artist for this particular book, for pretty much all of the mechs designs, is Chris Lewis. I don't know Chris. I haven't met Chris. I honestly have no ill will towards Mr. Lewis, and I hope my criticisms are taken. Well, let's be honest. They're going to be taken for what they are, for good or for ill. But whatever I may say, just remember, it's my concern, or it's my opinion on the art, not on the artist. So, with that said, let's take a look at the book. All right, so first off, we have the cover. I do actually want to point this out because I didn't notice this at first, and it's actually done by the same artist. So, first up, I never really noticed it because I haven't used the book. I have it as just as part of the collection. So I never noticed the explosion is actually done in the shape of a phoenix. And I think that's actually a brilliant piece of art right there. It conveys the title of the book, the reason for the book existing. It is a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's the flame coming up, in a style of rebirth. And that is absolutely what this project was designed for. I'm not sure if you can tell. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. There is actually what you'll come to find out is a phoenix hawk in the middle of this explosion. I really like just like the subtle inclusion of it. Especially for it being a phoenix hawk, so a bird style mech, or not style, but a bird named mech for Project Phoenix. So overall, I do like the cover on this. I think this is great, and I kind of regret it not being shown off more often. Absolutely big fan of that. Now, it does also include some fiction, basically to explain why this art or why these designs exist. All of the technical readouts, if you haven't read them before, are presented in universe style. So they're representing like in-universe characters that are providing a report to Comstar, to the Star League Defense Forces, whoever it is. So they've continued that with this particular project. Now, it is set at about 3067, so pretty much the end of the Federated Commonwealth Civil War. So, stats wise, it will include more modern technology. That's one of the justifications for the new art is that it's taking these old legacy designs and modernizing them. So, um, yeah, this piece of art is is pretty good. Um, I'm not going to spoil which mech that is. You might already know, but I'm not going to spoil it on this particular page. So it's a decent piece of art. But here we go. So here is our first mech, the LCT 5M Locust. All right. First off, the Locust always had an underslung laser. So with the redesign, why they made it look sort of like a mosquito proboscis or something, I don't know. Not a fan of that. In general, it's not really a bad design. It still does evoke the Locust. And it's actually not bad. This one I'm kind of okay with. I do wish the laser was repositioned a little bit. The gun arms, where it's usually machine guns or small lasers, those I don't have any problems with. It does look a lot like a new mech as opposed to just a Locust upgrade, but overall, this one is fine. I will accept this one. And yes, the book is 20 years old. Accepting it now is, it's an afterthought. One thing I will also point out, essentially, these also became the styles that were used in the MechWarrior Clicks game when these particular mechs were introduced. All right, so there's the Locust. All right, next up we have the Stinger. This one is okay, considering the source. It doesn't look too different. Not a fan of these giant missile racks in the torsos. The head is a little too close to like a wolfhound. But to be honest with you, I don't really see a Stinger in it. This is a completely new mech. It's not bad. It's not great. It's technically fine. Mr. Lewis is a good art. He is a good artist. Technically there's nothing wrong with it. Just not entirely a fan of this particular design. So I'm going to put this one in the negative column. All right, next up we have the Wasp. Now remember, the Stinger, the Wasp, and the Phoenix Hawk were all based off of the Valkyrie out of Robotech. So originally, those designs were pretty close. This is not too bad, but to be honest with you, this gives me vibes of a Griffin, not a Wasp. One of the issues that they had with this particular project is they wanted everything to get away from the original designs. They didn't want Harmony Gold or Tatsunoko Studios or anybody to have any kind of a reason or justification to come after them again for the particular art. So this one, if this was the Griffin redesign, I would probably be a lot happier with it. As it is, to be the Wasp, I'm not a fan. It's too different. While technically correct, or technically competent, it's not a Wasp. All right, We also then have the Valkyrie, one that I forgot. It doesn't come up as often in that list. This particular design, no. The calves are too wide. The feet are too small. The head, I just don't like it at all. You know, this right forearm just looks completely missized. And again, it just gets way off from the original design. So not really a fan of the Valkyrie either. All right. We then get to the Ost Scout. Now the Ost Scout, or the Ost series, Ost Scout, Ostsol, and Ostrock, I think, were supposedly based off of the Zentradi battle pods. I never saw it. In fact, Catalyst even reversed course at some point because Dwayne Luce in the 3025 book had done some decent changes to it that made the mech almost unrecognizable compared to its source material. So they actually, removed that one from the unseen list. But for a time it was there, so obviously they put it through Project Phoenix. This one, this is going to be one of those where I think if it had been presented as a new design as opposed to a new variant of an existing design, I would have probably been a lot happier with it. As it is, not really a big fan. So another one for the more negative column. All right, we then have our Phoenix Hawk. Now, a lot of this actually ended up getting into the modern design, into the Ill Clan era. The jump boosters on the back very much look like the Phoenix Hawk jump boosters currently. Overall, this design I'm actually okay with. It's still pretty different. They went way afield from the original design. Obviously, that's what they were trying to do, but this particular design looks okay. The Ill Clan version has also grown on me, so I'm gonna have to accept this one for what it is. Again, not like I have any kind of a choice. All right, then we have the Griffin. This one, actually, this piece of art actually kind of makes me wonder why it was ever declared. I mean, it was declared unseen because it was part of the licensing issue. But even the redesign, I'm feeling a little dumb right now because even this particular redesign is actually pretty close to the original. So this one I'm actually kind of happy with. It looks like a Griffin. It's got the missile rack on the shoulder. It's got the hand-mounted PPC. The big shoulder pads. I have no problems with the Griffin. I'm actually going to say that I like this one. This is a pretty good attempt at a redesign. All right, we then have the Scorpion. Now the Scorpion, okay, this one I'm not a fan of. It's not a good redesign. It's still a quad mech, but I don't know, just something about the particular art just doesn't sit with me. The autocannon in the torso looks fine. The other one was mounted up on the hull. So why they put it inside the hull this time, I'm not sure. Just I don't think this is a very It doesn't look too different from the original Scorpion, but I still don't like it. All right. Next up, we've got the Shadowhawk. Now, this one I would absolutely accept if it was a new design as opposed to a repurposed design. This does not look like a Shadowhawk. It does have the over-the-shoulder cannon. It does have a couple medium lasers in each arm, but nothing about this actually implies that it's a Shadowhawk. So, on its own, I'd take it. As a Shadowhawk, I am not interested at all. Stats-wise, it's not too bad, though. Rack 5, Streak 4, and 2 medium lasers. Not a bad little mid-range mech. All right, we then have the Wolverine. Cockpit doesn't look right. I'm probably overthinking it, but I don't know. Something about it just doesn't come off right. These little sort of samurai shoulder shields don't look right. I don't know. I would see a lot of these. I was gonna save it till the end. A lot of these designs, as new designs, are just fine. As redesigns, that's where I struggle. And trust me, you'll understand when we get to some later ones. Ostrock, I'm just gonna have to take this one as is. I didn't really like any of the Ost series when I saw it originally in 3025. This one, I don't like the Ost series anyway, so I'm not a big fan of the Ost, so we'll leave that one there. All right, now this one I actually like. This is the Rifleman. It's a lot beefier. I'd still prefer this one to be a new mech, just because of the redesign. So it says that it's 60 tons, but honestly, the thing looks bigger. I like these wedge style radar trackers that is very iconic for the Rifleman. Plus the rotary autocannons and the medium lasers. It's a nice touch. I mean, it's a natural upgrade for an anti-air mech like the Rifleman. But again, the redesign, the spiky feet, things like that, too many things take it away from the original Rifleman design that I'm not necessarily a big fan of calling this a Rifleman, but I actually do like this particular piece of art. So, yeah. Happy to have this as a new design. Not so happy to call it a Rifleman. All right, the Crusader. No. Just no. I don't like it. I don't understand these forearm missile pods. I never have. These actually survived into the Ill Clan version of the mech, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. This whole design is actually really plain. He's got better art in this book. I don't. No. Not a fan here. All right. Now we're starting to get into some territory. This is the Thunderbolt. Got the 3 lasers, LRM 15, and, well, in this case, it's a Gauss rifle instead of a large laser. It has everything to make it a Thunderbolt, but it doesn't look like a Thunderbolt. It's okay on its own. I I'm gonna put it in the acceptable category, but just barely. Still, anyways. The Archer, not bad. It still has the torso missile racks with the opening bays, um, medium lasers on the arms. It's this one's actually pretty close to the original design. I'm gonna give him this one. This one's a win. It's a little too like there's too much like these armor plates here on the calves, but overall, I'll give him this one. I don't like this. I don't like the Warhammer at all. I love the original Warhammer. I actually like the new Warhammer, the Clan version. I don't like this one at all. These little fins on the PPCs, this skinny lay flat SRM6. I've actually purchased the Ironwind Metals version of this mech before. Hated it, like from the word go. Did not like assembling it. I don't even know what happened to it, and I don't care. Like I did not like this one at all. And probably my most hated one, the Marauder. Nothing about this says it's a Marauder. I don't even think this is a good design. This one I know I've bought the model of. I hated this model even more than I hated the Warhammer. I just like the cannon being off to the side as opposed to centered. These again little fins coming off of the PPCs. The weird shape on the legs. Just over and over and over. There's so many things that I don't like. The cockpit styling, the shoulder pads. I do not like this one. This is probably my least favorite of all of them. Do not like that one at all. All right, we've got the Goliath. It's too the art itself is too plain. I can't tell if this is supposed to be a turret like you actually have on the Goliath. It's got a heavy Gauss rifle going on, but it just looks too different. Too different and too plain. It looks like a dog. I don't know. I not a fan on this one. All right, this one I actually like a little bit. The shoulder pads are interesting. The feet and the calves, I don't like those. But the rest of it does still look like a Battle Master. You've got the weapon clusters in the torso, the SRM6, and the PPC on the arm. It's not the best. I've complained about others far worse than this one. But this one overall I actually do like. So I'm going to put this one definitely in that win category. But it's yeah, there are problems with it, like I said. But overall it's okay. I'll take the Battlemaster. All right, now the longbow's in an interesting spot because there were only a couple of spots that actually had longbow art, and none of them were in a technical readout. So I can kind of forgive this one. But I mean, let's be honest. Two giant missile pod arms and centered, on a simple torso with a radar dish. That's a longbow. I'll allow it. It's a very, very radical redesign, but it's not a bad redesign. So I'll give him that one. All right, we then got the Marauder 2. Almost the exact same problems as the regular Marauder, but bigger. So still not a fan. Still don't think this is the best. But there are definitely worse mechs in the book. Alright, so that is all of the Inner Sphere mechs. We then go to the Clan. Alright, this one I can't stand. I don't like the Hammerhead cockpit. It's kind of close to the original 2C version from Victor Music Industries. It's got the top-mounted laser and the laser clusters in the arms. If it still had the sort of triangular torso that you see with the Locust 2C, I'd be okay with this one, but that hammerhead just really throws me off and I don't like it. We've got the Griffin 2C. It just doesn't look like it. Not a fan. It's a very plain mech. Yeah. Not a big fan of this one compared to the original Griffin. Alright. The Shadowhawk 2C, I didn't even like the original art. It still doesn't have the shoulder cannon. This looks like some little alien bug boy. Not a fan of this one. It just doesn't look like a Shadowhawk. The Rifleman 2C is okay. It looks like a rifleman. You've got the double barrels. You've got the sensor suite on top. In this case, because it's based on the 2C, so it is the sensor dish as opposed to just the sensor wing. This cockpit over top of this thing gives it a weird kind of dog-looking face. But even this is actually better than the original face. The original one looked like it had a face. So this one is okay. The Phoenix Hawk 2C, we actually ended up with the Phoenix Hawk 2C having a bunch of these kinds of elements. These little fin stabilizers, the LRMs in the torsos. These are actually ATMs, advanced tactical missiles. It's okay compared to the Victor Music Industries, but not the biggest fan. The Warhammer 2C, okay, this one, not a big fan of the pose, but this one is a lot closer to the original Warhammer design, so I'm going to give it this one. And I think we've got one more. Oh yeah, and then the Marauder 2C. A lot closer to the Marauder 2C. Definitely better than the Marauder or the Marauder 2. Yeah, I'll allow this one. Just barely, but I'll allow it. So that's the Marauder 2C. All right, now I will give them one thing that I actually do like about this particular technical readout. They give you variant art. It's like we've got the Locust 1v2 and the Locust 5v. different Stinger and Wasp, different Phoenix Hawks, different Valkyrie and Os Scout. I mean, overall, like, the whole point of this book is about the art anyways. So I actually kind of like that they included these. You know, it's not needed. It's not, you know, for the longest time for Battletech, all you ever got was the one piece of art that represented all of the variants, no matter how different they were. And for this, just literally the rest of the book is just variants on all these designs. So I will absolutely give them credit for that. I love the fact that they included the additional art. But I will say, in general, I mean, going through piece by piece was a bit of a different experience. You know, typically I'm just seeing one piece at a time as part of one of my mech pack reviews. So actually taking some time to sit down and flip through it. I'm gonna have to apologize a little bit to Mr. Lewis. The designs were a bit better than I remembered, but in general, like, Project Phoenix just did not land for me. There are the mechs that, like I said, where, you know, there are some that I actually like, but most of them, considering what they're supposed to represent, I just struggled liking and appreciating those particular designs. So overall, you know, I have to say that I don't think that this particular book was a success. But what do you think? Put it down in the comments. What did you think when they came out with Project Phoenix? What do you think of, you know, having seen these designs now? You know, are they good designs? Are they, you know, are they better as standalone designs? Or are you perfectly fine with them representing the mechs that they're supposed to represent? Put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of topics, and I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. So, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.